still figuring out. We're so happy to be here in Los Angeles to have this conversation with you. And I want to
First, I'm going to see my story.
categories. Like, how do you guys? I know, yeah, so Kali does lip kits and you do the contouring kits. Like, one day, is there a collision where you're doing the same products? Would you sit around a table saying, okay, I'm going to do this stuff, and you're going to do this stuff? Because it all seems very well.
We do map it out. We do have meetings. We don't have meetings about formulas and specific products and packaging, but if, like, I just launched lipsticks, and so she has lipsticks, so we make sure that the formulas are completely authentic to me and her formulas are authentic to her, and we run them like we're two totally separate businesses. But we do have communication over our timeline and our launches so nothing is too close, and we make sure that our formulas are nothing alike so that we just never run into that problem. And if there's something that we really both had our eyes set on, we would collab and do it together.
I think too that one business doesn't cannibalize the other at all. They have two completely different fan bases, which is very interesting.
Right. What about that roadmap? So when you say there's a roadmap, Kris, what does that roadmap look? I'm just really curious. Back to the being a mastermind, like how does that all work?
Well, it's a document that lists everything the girl's going to do, for example, for the rest of the year. It's
not a master document.
And we add to it and, subtract from it and make sure that one thing doesn't, get in the way of another, that it makes sense. And, you really have to put some, heavy lifting into exactly how you're going to roll things out and what makes sense for each girl's brand and who's doing what. And, it's a daily conversation. It's a big deal because I have so many things going on. So every day I'll come to work and I feel like I'm working for a different company or a different brand. It depends on what needs to be done. But I think for me, and dealing with what we deal with internally as a family, we have to have a spreadsheet basically on who's doing what when, so it's all smooth. Whiteboards all over the office.
Really?
Yeah.
I love it. People are still skeptical. They understand the reach, they understand the influence, but I think what's most remarkable about what I've learned in the last few conversations that you and I have had with Kim is that you've taken that influence and reach and you're really building a business. And that's, I think, the ability to interact directly with your customers and to get feedback from them and listen to them. That is a new kind of business.
Yes, for sure.
So let's talk about the business, because one of the things I wanted to hear from you is how do you think your beauty business is different from the traditional beauty businesses? The ones, there are, many of them are run by middle-aged white men. They don't necessarily have, broad definitions of beauty. They don't necessarily have the direct relationship with the customer. How do you think your business is different from the brands that have been around forever?
Well, I think definitely with social media, you can have a direct-to-consumer business, and if you market yourself the right way and promote it the right way, then you can have a really successful business. Something that I don't think people assumed was even possible 5 years ago.
What about the notion of what beauty is, right? So sometimes when I'm flipping through a fashion magazine, even now, you flip through and there's almost a formula about the way these brands communicate. How does your brand communicate differently from, say, the traditional, in terms of the image it projects?
Well, I don't really look at the traditional forms of what I'm seeing in magazines. I just kind of do what I want to do, and I've always been really confident in the image that I want to put out there. Whether it's, when you have your own business and you really 100% control it, you can choose the photographer and the images and the look and, every last detail that you want to do. So when you have your own business, that's just what I've done. I've always done what's felt right, what feels good, not really worried about what I think the consumer wants, but instead kind of guide them with what I want. And I think if you have your own business and it's really run by social media, you can have the power to do that.
Some people say you also influence the ideals, right? So so like, the notion, even in back to that formula in the magazines, it's the same kind of woman. You're projecting a different image of beauty, people say. How do you respond to that?
That's really exciting to me and flattering because even though I'm not planning that out, I mean, I remember when I was growing up, the kinds of women that I looked at and I looked up to. I mean, when Selma Hayek came on the scene, it was like over. I was so excited. There was someone that I felt like, even though we're not the same nationality, but I looked similar to her, and that was someone that I would go to for beauty advice. I remember at the time it was prom, and I wanted to figure out what hairstyle I wanted, so I would look at her red carpet looks. So I'm just proud that there's such a diverse language in beauty, and in my campaigns I use so many different women to, hopefully that there's someone out there that looks like one of them and wants to emulate that look or get some beauty tips and advice from something that maybe they would see in one of my campaigns.
Yeah, the beauty tips and advice are also linked to the types of products you're selling. So you launched with contouring kits, right? And we had an educational session where Kim explained to me what contouring is, but it's that kind of product focus also that's different. Instead of launching with a whole smattering of different products and products that are quite similar to what you can get elsewhere, you launched with a kit. How do you make that kind of product decision?
I knew from the start that I always, no matter what my look is, whether I'm doing a no makeup look or a really heavy glam look, contour was just constant. So that for sure was just the first product that I wanted to launch with. And I learned from my sister Kylie that she launched just lips in her Kylie Cosmetics, and that did really well for her. And I felt like my makeup artist Mario and I had worked so long creating so many different looks for the past 10 years, but contour was always constant. So for me, I learned from my little sister to just maybe start with one product, and that seemed to really work, and just building off of that.
It worked so well that you sold over 300,000 units of your contouring kits, I think in the first 24 hours, turning over $14 million. Right, so when I heard that, I couldn't think of a business that's launching on its first day that makes that much money. How do you think about how much to produce? Like, how did you come up with the number 300,000, and how has that changed over time as you've picked up on how demand works for your product?
It definitely is a learning process, and I learned from when Kylie and I launched our lip together.
I'm learning right now.
We have a lip collab, and I gauged it off of those numbers. So I was a bit more conservative than those numbers just to test it, because contour and teaching people how to contour, what it is, and getting your correct shade, you do have to educate a lot, so it was tricky, but
this is really hard for me not to
when you have a business that's all online, it is tricky, it is risky, it is difficult to gauge that, and we're still always gauging that, but when a product sells out, it's the most gratifying feeling in the world. And on launch days, me and the team were on the computer,
Nothing's better than
checking all the
selling lip
numbers,
kits.
seeing what's selling, and it's so much fun.
Do you ever regret not ordering more though when it sells out? Or is scarcity part, with the whole drops model, maybe this is from like Kanye and Yeezy and the way that whole streetwear market works, but they put out a little bit of product and it sells out and people want it more. Is there like that kind of psychology in the thinking?
Not as much with makeup, just because I always want people to be able to get it, but I think it has helped. You just don't want to over-order, and I think we've so far done a good job at gauging the perfect amount. I mean, obviously, it's never going to be perfect, but it's exciting when it sells out, and then I always try to reorder it quickly, unless it's really just an exclusive product, like with my fragrances. Sometimes I won't be reordering that again. So
just because you only want it to be available once.
Yeah, I mean, I had these like Valentine hearts, and I just wanted them for Valentine's Day. There was no real need to live on the site. So my funner products
More fun.
that are like holiday based, I think will just be exclusive just for that time period.
Okay. So the other thing that I'm really curious about is how the two of you actually work together. So, there is this impression out in the world that you, Kris, are this behind-the-scenes mastermind, calculating and knowing exactly what to do to get attention. You have this, vested
So where you got all that credit from? It's like,
Well, that's what I wanted to ask. Is it
I'm
true?
the mastermind now.
Okay.
It's me telling my sisters what to do.
Not today.
Listen.
Not today.
How do you see it? It's like you work with all your kids on their different endeavors, and they're all doing well in different areas. Like, how do you see your role? You're not involved in the day-to-day, but you're involved in some way or another. Like, how do you describe what you do?
Well, I'm definitely involved in the day-to-day because we work together every single day. We work on, if we're not filming Keeping Up with the Kardashians, we're working on Kim's fragrance and makeup and Kylie's brands, and it goes on and on. But I think that the girls are all so creative, and they know exactly what they want. And the last thing that they want to hear from me is what a lipstick, component would look like. So I think for me, my job is really to lead in the direction of where their passion is, how to figure out what a business might look like, help get it off the ground, help keep it running with a great team behind me, and let them do their creative thing. And I mean, Kim is the
I'd
queen
honestly rather
of
listen to their
social
baby
media.
cry than
And
this.
she's pretty much taught the rest of us.
You're not breaking me, dude. You're not
how
gonna
it's
break me.
done. Whether it's, solving a crisis, putting out a fire, or simply, I remember when there was just Twitter, and that's all I knew about. There wasn't Instagram, there wasn't all these other social media platforms. And Kim was launching a fragrance. And she went on Twitter and posted 2 pictures of a fragrance bottle that was black and pink. And she said to her fans, do you guys like the light pink or do you like the dark pink? And I was like, what are you doing? You're asking on Twitter how to make a perfume bottle? And she goes, yeah. And she had millions and millions of responses and picked the bottle that her fans liked, and that fragrance sold out in minutes because she, did that. And it wasn't even an e-com product. It was in stores for a minute, and people were lining up to get it because they felt like they had been a part of that process. So Kim teaches me something about e-com and social media every day, but my job is really to keep it all going, keep the train running.
So when you're keeping the train running, do you have like a business philosophy or like an approach that you pass on to the girls, saying like, this is how you should think about building a business?
Well, I mean, my business philosophy to anyone has always been, if someone says no, you're talking to the wrong person. So just never give up. And if you have an idea and you feel passionate about, doing that as a business, and that's what you want to do for the, really make a commitment, then let's go figure out how to do it. Let's roll up our sleeves and find somebody that shares the same joy. I mean, it really gives me incredible joy to be able to find these different things that the girls like to do and go out there and figure out a way to do it. It's very, very exciting.
My mom runs a really tight ship.
Non-family members, that would be a little bit more difficult.
Did she go up these stairs right here? She from the other way.
The other thing that being a Kardashian means is having to deal with the constant media cycle. There's something related to
Get her in here. Thank you, Paul.
an ex of one of your sisters, something happens and the whole Kardashian brand is all over the internet. It's like constant struggle. How does that signal the kind of brand that's also Kardashian? Like how do you're building this like aspirational brand, and then there's like all this Kardashian stuff all over the internet, and then
there's backlash with the state. So I think really just got really aggravated. But I think that the way we're getting right now with everything is
What's going on, guys? It's Ryan Fu. If you guys enjoyed that video, please smash that like button and also hit that notification bell next to the subscribe button so you guys can be up to date with all our videos. So once again, smash that like button and hit that notification bell next to the subscribe button, and check you guys out later and keep on shocking them, bros.